Welcome back to Saltwater Stories. This week we're going on an adventure to learn about the biggest fish in the entire ocean.
Bigger than a school bus.
You get it, the whale shark.
Wow. I always loved seeing those guys in aquariums as a kid.
Oh yeah, they're absolutely magnificent.
But a school bus, how big can they get?
Some whale sharks can reach a whopping 60 feet long.
That's incredible.
And their weight, get this, over 20 tons. That's like heavier than 3 or 4 elephants all put together.
You kidding me? I had no idea they got that massive.
But despite their incredible size, they're actually incredibly gentle creatures.
Yeah, I remember seeing them just kind of slowly cruising around in the aquarium. They definitely didn't seem aggressive at all.
Nope, not even a little bit. They're filter feeders.
Filter feeders. So they're not chomping on other fish.
Not really. Instead, they eat some of the tiniest things in the ocean.
Really? What kind of stuff are we talking about?
They mostly gobble up plankton, krill, and sometimes even small fish. All those teeny tiny creatures floating in the water.
It's amazing to think something so big can survive on such small food.
Right. It really shows you how diverse life in the ocean can be. Now, ready for another fun fact? Every single whale shark has a unique pattern of white spots and stripes.
Kind of like a fingerprint.
Exactly. It's like their own personal underwater constellation.
That's so cool. So each one is individually recognizable.
You got it.
Yeah.
And scientists believe these spots might even help them camouflage themselves in the dappled sunlight near the surface.
That makes sense. Breaking up their outline would make them harder to spot.
Right. It's a bit like how a zebra's stripes help it blend into the tall grass.
I see.
And we can't forget their most impressive feature, their massive mouths.
How big are we talking?
Well, their mouths can open more than 4 feet wide. Imagine that.
Wow. That's bigger than my doorway.
It's pretty mind-blowing, right? But don't worry, they mostly use those big mouths for scooping up tons of water to filter out their tiny meals.
So they're not going to just like swallow a whole school of fish in one gulp.
Definitely not. They're all about those tiny morsels. So are you ready to explore the fascinating world of whale sharks with me?
I am absolutely ready. Let's dive in. No pun intended, of course.
Uh-huh. I see what you did there.
Yeah.
All right, so let's start with their size. We've said they're big, but it's worth repeating just how big they can get. I mean, longer than a school bus. That's a pretty incredible visual.
Absolutely. And it's not just their length. Remember those 20 tons? That's a serious amount of weight moving through the water.
And yet they manage to do it with such grace. They kind of glide effortlessly, don't they? Especially in those warm tropical waters they prefer.
Right. You wouldn't think something so large could be so elegant. It's a stark contrast, their size and their gentle nature, their slow movements.
Absolutely. You'd expect a creature that big to be, I don't know, more imposing or aggressive, maybe. But they're perfectly content just cruising along and filtering out those tiny little organisms.
It's kind of a nice thought, isn't it? This massive, powerful creature sustaining itself on the tiniest things in the sea.
It really is. And it highlights how important even the smallest creatures are to the overall health of the ocean.
Yeah, that's a great point. Everything is connected. Even those tiny plankton and krill, they form the foundation of the food web, feeding everything from the smallest fish all the way up to these giant whale sharks.
It's amazing, right? The ocean is full of these intricate relationships.
It truly is. And speaking of connections, those unique patterns of white spots we mentioned, they're not just for show.
Right. Those spots and stripes are like a natural ID card for each whale shark. Researchers can actually use them to tell individual sharks apart.
Wow, so it's like each one has its own unique fingerprint.
Exactly, and that allows scientists to track them, study their movements, and learn about how they live their lives,
Yeah.
which is so important for their conservation, especially since they travel so far.
It's mind-boggling to think they undertake these incredible journeys across entire oceans.
And the distances they cover, seriously impressive. They've been documented traveling over 12,000 miles.
12,000 miles. That's like swimming halfway around the world.
I know, right? It's absolutely incredible. And it really highlights the importance of international cooperation when it comes to protecting them. We can't just focus on one small area. We need to think about their entire range.
Yeah, it emphasizes how interconnected the world's oceans really are.
And there are still so many mysteries surrounding these migrations. I mean, we still don't know exactly where they give birth.
That's right. No one has ever witnessed a whale shark giving birth in the wild.
Imagine that. These huge creatures, and such a fundamental part of their lives, is still unknown to us.
It really shows how much we still have to learn about them, and it makes research all the more important.
Speaking of research, scientists have discovered that whale sharks actually dive Incredibly deep. We're talking over 6,000 feet.
6,000 feet. Wow, that's deep. What are they doing all the way down there?
Honestly, we're not entirely sure. There are a few theories, though. Some scientists think they might be following deep water currents that carry their food, while others believe they might dive down to cooler waters to regulate their body temperature after spending time in warmer surface waters.
It's amazing to think about these giant creatures navigating those dark, cold depths. It's a whole different world down there. And what about the young whale sharks? Do they make these deep dives too?
Not quite. Juvenile whale sharks tend to stick to shallower, coastal areas,
Hmm.
kind of like nurseries, where they have more protection and plenty of food to help them grow. Scientists have even identified several of these nursery areas.
That's fascinating. So they have these specific areas where the young ones can hang out and get a good start in life.
Exactly. It's like a safe haven for them.
And once they're big enough, they head off on those epic migrations.
Right. It's a pretty remarkable life cycle.
I have to ask, though, if they're filter feeders, how exactly do they get enough to eat? I mean, plankton are so tiny.
It's all about volume. Whale sharks have developed some pretty incredible adaptations to maximize their food intake.
So what's the secret? Spill the beans.
Well, think of it like this. They're essentially giant swimming sieves. They're these specialized structures called gill rakers that act like superfine filters, trapping tiny plankton and other morsels from the water.
So they just swim around with their mouths open, filtering out the good stuff.
Pretty much. And they actually have two main ways of doing this. Sometimes they'll just passively suck the water in, kind of like a giant underwater vacuum cleaner. And other times they'll actively swim forward, essentially ramming the water through their mouths.
I'm picturing a whale shark doing laps in a pool, mouth wide open, just scooping up all the plankton.
Uh-huh. Yeah, something like that. And while they might have thousands of tiny teeth, they don't actually use them for chomping or biting. Those teeth are more like leftovers from their evolutionary past.
Really? Leftovers, so those teeth are totally useless.
Pretty much. They're what scientists call vestigial structures, basically. Body parts that have lost their original function over time.
That's so weird to think about.
Oh.
But hey, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? Their filter feeding strategy seems to be working just fine for them.
Absolutely. And they're actually pretty clever about maximizing their feeding opportunities. They'll often congregate in areas where plankton blooms are happening, kind of like nature's all-you-can-eat buffet.
Talk about being in the right place at the right time.
Right. And they're not just limited to feeding near the surface. They've been observed using what scientists call a vertical feeding technique, where they'll move up and down in the water column to take advantage of plankton that might be concentrated at different depths.
So they're not afraid to mix things up and explore different levels of the ocean to find their food. They're pretty adaptable.
Exactly. They're true masters of their environment. And it's not just about eating as much as they can. They actually play an important role in regulating plankton populations.
Oh, I saw.
Well, by consuming vast amounts of plankton, they help prevent any one species from becoming too abundant, which could disrupt the delicate balance of the ecosystem.
That's fascinating. So they're like natural population control for plankton.
Exactly. And they also help to mix nutrients in the water as they move around and feed, making those nutrients more available for other organisms.
It's amazing how these gentle giants have such a significant impact on the ocean's health.
It really is. They're a vital part of the ecosystem. Okay, so we've talked about their size, their diet, and their movements. But what about their behavior? What are whale sharks like in their day-to-day lives?
Well, for such massive creatures, they're actually pretty laid back. They tend to swim pretty slowly, usually around 2 to 3 miles per hour.
Which makes sense when you think about their feeding strategy.
Mm.
No need to rush when you're filtering tiny creatures from the water.
Exactly, and they're mostly solitary creatures. While they might gather in large groups at feeding sites, they typically spend most of their time swimming and exploring on their own.
It's like they're these independent wanderers of the ocean.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. And remember those long migrations we talked about? Well, those are primarily driven by the need to find food and suitable breeding areas.
And during those epic journeys, they often use ocean currents to help them travel more efficiently.
That's smart. Taking advantage of those natural currents is like catching a free ride across the ocean.
Yeah, definitely. They're not afraid to use a little bit of help from Mother Nature, and we know they can dive deep, sometimes going thousands of feet below the surface.
And that makes me wonder, what are they doing down there? It's so dark and cold at those depths.
Well, it's still a bit of a mystery, but scientists think they might be searching for deeper water food sources, or maybe even regulating their body temperature.
It's amazing to think about them navigating those deep, dark environments. It really highlights their adaptability. And perhaps most importantly, at least for us humans, whale sharks are incredibly docile and non-aggressive.
Absolutely. Despite their immense size, they pose absolutely no threat to humans. In fact, they often seem quite curious about divers and boats.
Which is probably why swimming with whale sharks has become such a popular activity in some parts of the world. It must be incredible to encounter such a gentle giant in the wild.
I can only imagine. And unlike some other fish, whale sharks don't really sleep in the traditional sense. They had to keep swimming to stay buoyant and to ensure water flows over their gills so they can breathe.
So they're constantly on the move. But you mentioned something about them basking near the surface.
Yeah, they've been observed swimming slowly near the surface, possibly to absorb some warmth from the sun, which might help with digestion.
Like a giant solar-powered tummy warmer. I love it.
Exactly. And they're often quite curious, even playful at times.
I can picture them slowly approaching a diver or a boat, just checking things out.
It's one of the things that makes them so endearing.
And they seem to be a bit of an anomaly in the shark world, right? I mean, they're the only species in their entire family.
You're absolutely right. They're the sole member of the Rhincodontidae family. And they're actually more closely related to bottom-dwelling carpet sharks than they are to the sleek, fast-swimming sharks we often see in movies.
That's really surprising. These massive ocean wanderers are related to those little camouflage guys that hang out on the seabed.
Yep. It just goes to show you how diverse the shark family tree really is.
And they've been around for a long time, right? Like even longer than the dinosaurs.
You got it. Their lineage goes back at least 60 million years. That's a long time to be cruising the oceans.
That's incredible. They've witnessed so many changes in the Earth's history.
Definitely. Makes you wonder what they've seen over those millions of years.
And their skeletons are made of cartilage, which doesn't fossilize well, right?
Exactly. So the fossil record for whale sharks is quite sparse. We only have fragments to help us piece together their ancient history.
Which just adds another layer of mystery to these already fascinating creatures.
Now, let's shift gears and talk about their growth and lifespan. They have a remarkably slow growth rate, especially when they're young.
How slow are we talking?
Well, as juveniles, they only add about 8 inches to their lengths each year.
Wow, that's incredibly slow. No wonder it takes them so long to reach their full size.
Right, and their average adult size is about 40 feet, though some individuals have been recorded reaching almost 60 feet.
So there are definitely some extra large whale sharks out there.
Absolutely. But during their first few years of life, they actually grow much faster.
Oh, really? Why is that?
Well, they need to get bigger quickly to reduce their vulnerability to predators.
That makes sense. They're probably a tasty snack for a lot of creatures when they're small.
Exactly. But once they reach a certain size, their growth rate slows down significantly. And that's partly due to their slow metabolism.
So their slow growth is linked to how they process energy.
Exactly. They don't need as much energy as a faster-growing animal. And this slow metabolism also contributes to their long lifespan, which can be 70 years or even more.
Wow, 70 years. That's a pretty long life for a fish.
And their growth rate really tapers off once they reach maturity. After that, it's just a gradual increase in size for the rest of their lives.
And environmental factors play a role too, right? Like the temperature of the water and the availability of food.
Definitely. Warmer waters and abundant food sources can lead to slightly faster growth. And there can even be regional differences in their size, depending on the local environment.
So a whale shark living in a plankton-rich area might grow a bit bigger than one living in an area with less food.
Exactly. It's all about those local conditions. And did you know that scientists can actually figure out a whale shark's age by looking at its vertebrae?
Really? Is it like counting the rings on a tree?
Pretty much. Their vertebrae have growth rings that can be analyzed to estimate their age.
That's a cool way to learn about their life history. And is there a size difference between male and female whale sharks?
Yeah, typically females are larger than males, which isn't unusual in many animal species.
I wonder why that is.
It likely has to do with the energy demands of reproduction. Females need to be bigger to carry and nourish their developing pups.
That makes sense. And speaking of pups, there's still so much we don't know about whale shark reproduction.
It's one of the biggest mysteries surrounding them. We know they give birth to live young, but no one has ever actually witnessed a whale shark giving birth in the wild.
Wow, that's wild! It's amazing to think about these massive creatures, and we still don't know something so fundamental about their life cycle.
I know, right? It's just another reminder of how much we still have to learn about the ocean and the creatures that call it home. but we do know a few things. For example, a female whale shark can give birth to a huge number of pups.
Oh, yeah. How many are we talking about?
In one recorded instance, a female had over 300 pups.
300! That's incredible. I guess it makes sense, though. They have a long lifespan and don't reproduce that often, so they need to make sure plenty of their offspring survive.
Exactly. It's a classic example of a species that invests a lot of energy into each reproductive event.
And speaking of reproduction, did you know that it takes whale sharks a really long time to reach sexual maturity?
Really? How long?
About 30 years?
30 years. Wow, that's a really long time.
I know. And when you combine that with their slow growth rate, it means they're particularly vulnerable to threats like overfishing and habitat loss.
Right, because if their populations decline, it takes them a long time to recover.
Exactly. Which is why all those conservation efforts we talked about earlier are so important.
Okay, let's circle back to those incredible migrations. I mean, we've touched on it a few times, but it's worth diving a bit deeper.
You're telling me. Journeys of over 8,000 miles across entire ocean basins. That's mind-blowing.
I know, right? And it's not random wandering. These migrations are intricately timed with plankton blooms and water temperatures.
So they're following their food, basically.
Exactly. And often, they'll return to the same feeding and breeding grounds year after year.
Like, they have these ancient maps ingrained in their brains, guiding them to these hotspots.
It's pretty amazing. And it highlights the importance of protecting those key areas.
Right, because if those areas are damaged or disrupted, the whale sharks might not have the resources they need to survive.
And some of these migrations take them through international waters, which can be tricky from a conservation standpoint.
Yeah, because different countries have different laws and regulations, so it's important to have international cooperation to ensure their protection throughout their entire range.
And thankfully, scientists are using some incredible technology to track these movements and learn more about these migrations.
Yeah, those satellite tags you mentioned earlier are providing amazing insights into their travels.
Exactly. They're giving us a real-time look at where they go and how they behave. And acoustic sensors are also helping researchers understand their underwater movements in more detail.
And even just photographs of their unique spot patterns can help track individuals over time. It's a simple but effective way to learn about their lives.
And what's cool is that not all whale sharks migrate in the same way. Some are real long-distance champions, while others tend to stick closer to warmer waters year-round.
So there's some individual variation in their behavior, which makes things even more interesting.
Absolutely. It adds another layer of complexity to their already fascinating lives. And of course, we can't ignore the looming threat of climate change. As ocean temperatures rise and currents change, those shifts could significantly impact their migration patterns and food sources.
Right. It's a major concern for their future. If their food isn't available when and where they expect it, it could have serious consequences for their survival.
And that's why all those conservation efforts are so crucial. Okay, let's dive into those efforts in a little more detail. What are some of the things being done to protect whale sharks around the world?
Well, one big step has been their listing under the Convention on Migratory Species.
Right. That's a global agreement that aims to conserve migratory animals throughout their entire range.
Exactly. It's a way to encourage international cooperation to protect species like the whale shark that cross multiple borders.
And we've seen the creation of marine protected areas. Those special zones designed to safeguard ocean habitats and the creatures that live there.
Yeah, MPAs can be really effective in providing safe havens for whale sharks, especially if they encompass those key feeding and breeding areas.
And many regions have implemented fishing regulations, including size limits, gear restrictions, and even complete bans on catching whale sharks.
All incredibly important measures to reduce the pressure on their populations.
Absolutely. And those tagging and monitoring programs we talked about, they're essential for tracking their movements, assessing their population numbers, and understanding their overall health.
And photo identification, where researchers use those unique spot patterns to recognize individual sharks, is a simple yet powerful tool.
Right. And it's totally non-invasive. You don't even have to touch the shark to get the information.
And then there's all the amazing work being done by nonprofit organizations and conservation groups to raise awareness about whale sharks and the threats they face.
Yeah, public education is huge. Those campaigns can really inspire people to get involved and make a difference.
And a lot of those groups work closely with local communities, involving them in conservation efforts.
Absolutely. It's all about fostering a sense of stewardship and recognizing that protecting whale sharks benefits everyone.
And responsible ecotourism can actually play a positive role, too.
Oh yeah, by creating economic incentives for local communities to protect these animals.
Exactly. If people are willing to pay to see these magnificent creatures in the wild, it provides a direct economic benefit to protecting them.
And some countries have really stepped up and enacted strong national laws specifically for whale shark protection.
Yeah, countries like India, the Philippines, and Australia have implemented some really great legal frameworks for whale shark conservation.
It's really encouraging to see those kinds of commitments. And there's also a growing focus on reducing marine debris, especially plastic pollution, which can be really harmful to whale sharks.
Right. It's heartbreaking to see those images of whale sharks entangled in plastic or ingesting plastic debris.
This is a stark reminder of how our actions on land can have dire consequences for creatures in the ocean.
Absolutely, it's all connected.
And one of the really cool things I've noticed is how whale sharks have become these almost iconic symbols for ocean conservation.
They really have, haven't they? Their size, their beauty, their gentle nature, it all comes together to create this powerful image that resonates with people.
And you see them featured in documentaries, nature shows, even children's books. They've really captured the public's imagination.
Those kinds of media portrayals can be incredibly influential in shaping public opinion and promoting conservation.
And their unique spot patterns, they're like natural works of art. I've seen some incredible photographs of them winning underwater photography awards.
They're definitely photogenic creatures, and those photographs can help raise awareness and appreciation for their beauty, which in turn can lead to greater support for conservation
It's
efforts.
like a ripple effect.
Yeah.
And I think their popularity in children's books is especially important.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Introducing kids to these gentle giants at a young age can help foster a lifelong love and respect for the ocean and its inhabitants.
Exactly. And hopefully that will inspire the next generation of ocean stewards. Now, let's go back to their fascinating connection to plankton. It's not just that they eat plankton, their entire lives are basically synced up with plankton blooms.
Right. It's all about timing. They have to be in the right place at the right time to take advantage of those massive blooms, which are basically like giant feasts for filter feeders.
And these blooms aren't just random occurrences. They often happen in areas where nutrient-rich water rises to the surface.
Yeah, those upwelling zones are like plankton factories churning out huge amounts of food.
And the abundance of different types of plankton actually changes throughout the year, creating these seasonal patterns that the whale sharks follow.
So they're not just wandering aimlessly, they're strategically targeting areas where the plankton buffet is open for business.
Exactly. And it's not unusual to see large gatherings of whale sharks during peak feeding season, sometimes even hundreds or thousands of them in a single area.
Wow. Imagine being in the water with hundreds of whale sharks all feasting on plankton.
It must be an incredible sight.
Absolutely breathtaking, I'm sure.
But this close connection to plankton also makes them vulnerable to changes in the ocean environment. We talked about climate change, but even things like El Nino events can disrupt plankton distribution, which can have ripple effects throughout the food web.
Yeah, those kinds of disruptions can really throw things out of whack. If the plankton aren't there, the whale sharks won't have enough to eat, which could impact their health and reproduction.
It really highlights the delicate balance of the ocean ecosystem. And whale sharks are definitely not loners. They interact with a whole range of other marine creatures.
Oh, yeah. They share the ocean with a diverse cast of characters.
And for the most part, they get along really well with other species, especially other filter feeders like manta rays.
Right. It's kind of like they're all part of the same club, just cruising along and filtering out those tasty plankton.
And it's not just the big guys. Smaller tropical fish often hang around whale sharks, picking up any scraps of food that might get missed.
So they're kind of like the whale shark's entourage.
Haha, yeah. They're always there for the leftovers. And even though adult whale sharks don't have many natural predators, young whale sharks are vulnerable to orcas and larger sharks.
Ah, that makes sense. Those big predators are always looking for an easy meal.
But once those whale sharks get big enough, they're pretty much at the top of the food chain.
And they don't seem to mind hanging out with other shark species like bull sharks.
Right.
Ah.
They're not really competing for the same food, so they can coexist peacefully. And they even visit cleaning stations, where smaller fish and shrimp help remove parasites and dead skin.
It's like a little spa day for the whale shark.
Yeah. And they're unintentionally helpful to other species too.
Really? How so?
Well, as they feed, they stir up the ocean floor, which can release nutrients and expose buried food items, making those resources available for other creatures.
Ah, so they're kind of like accidental gardeners of the sea.
Exactly. They're constantly enriching the environment around them. And we can't forget those little remora fish that often hitch a ride on whale sharks.
Yeah, those guys are always hanging around. What's their deal?
They use the whale shark for transportation, a bit of protection, and sometimes they even snag a free meal by eating parasites off the whale shark's skin.
So it's a win-win for the remora. Talk about finding a good gig.
Right. They've definitely figured out how to make the most of their relationship with the whale shark.
It's amazing how all these different species are interconnected, even in subtle ways. And it makes you appreciate the importance of studying those interactions to get a fuller picture of how ecosystems work.
Absolutely. And speaking of studying whale sharks, scientists are using some pretty incredible technology to learn more about them.
Yeah. We've talked about satellite tags, acoustic sensors, and photo identification, but there's so much more.
Oh yeah, the technology is constantly evolving, giving us even more detailed insights into their lives.
Like underwater drones, for example. They're giving researchers a completely new perspective on whale shark behavior in their natural habitat.
And it's all non-invasive. The drones can observe the sharks without disturbing them.
Right. And the footage they're capturing is incredible.
I know. And DNA analysis is helping us understand their genetic diversity and how different populations around the world are related.
Yeah, that's crucial for conservation because if we know how diverse their populations are, we can better manage and protect them.
Exactly. And machine learning is actually helping scientists process all that photo identification data much faster.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense. With thousands of photos to analyze, having a computer that can quickly identify individual sharks based on their spot patterns is a huge help.
And there are new types of tags that can record their feeding activity in real time.
Wow, that must be giving researchers some amazing insights into what, when, and how much they're eating.
It's pretty incredible. And AI is even being used to analyze all that data from satellite tags and acoustic sensors, helping researchers map their migration routes and even predict where they might go in the future.
That's amazing. Being able to anticipate where whale sharks are likely to be could be a game changer for conservation efforts.
Absolutely. And all around the world, scientists and conservation groups are collaborating and sharing data, creating these amazing global databases of whale shark sightings.
That's so important. Having access to all that information allows researchers to see the bigger picture and understand these movements on a global scale. It's a true testament to the power of collaboration.
And it's not just scientists who are getting involved. There are some fantastic citizen science projects that allow anyone to contribute to whale shark research.
Oh, yeah, I've heard about those. People can submit their sightings and photos, helping researchers track individual sharks and learn more about their distribution.
Exactly. It's a great way to get the public involved and make them feel like they're part of the conservation effort.
And it's a reminder that everyone can play a role in protecting these incredible creatures.
So looking ahead, what's the future hold for whale shark conservation?
Well, I think it's a mix of hope and challenges. We're learning more about them all the time, and that knowledge is power when it comes to conservation.
And we have some amazing scientists and dedicated conservationists working tirelessly to protect them.
Absolutely. But we also need stronger protection laws, expanded marine protected areas, and a real global commitment to tackling issues like climate change and plastic pollution.
And those are all things that require collaboration, not just between governments and organizations, but between individuals too.
Right. Everyone has a role to play, whether it's reducing our own plastic consumption, supporting sustainable fishing practices, or simply spreading awareness about the importance of ocean conservation.
Every action, no matter how small, can make a difference.
But we owe it to these magnificent creatures to ensure that they can continue to grace our oceans for generations to come.
Well said. And I think it's important to remember that protecting whale sharks isn't just about saving one species. It's about protecting the entire ocean ecosystem.
Right. Their health is a reflection of the health of our oceans as a whole.
And those ecosystems are vital for all of us. They provide food, regulate our climate, and support countless livelihoods.
Protecting whale sharks is ultimately about protecting ourselves and the planet we all share, and it's also about preserving the sense of wonder and awe that these incredible creatures inspire.
Absolutely. The ocean is full of mysteries and beauty, and whale sharks are a perfect embodiment of that. They remind us of how much we still have to learn and how important it is to protect the wild places that remain.
And I think their gentle nature is a really important reminder, too. It shows us that even the largest, most powerful creatures can coexist peacefully with other species and with humans.
It's a lesson we could all learn from. Whale sharks teach us about the interconnectedness of life, the importance of balance, and the power of respect for the natural world.
And they inspire us to be better stewards of our oceans and to work together to ensure that these magnificent creatures can continue to thrive for generations to come.
So to all our listeners, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep sharing the wonder of the ocean with others. And never underestimate your power to make a positive impact. Thanks for joining us on Saltwater Stories.
See you next time.